Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now September 25th of 2025, and I'm sure that just 2 nights ago you all witnessed at least clips or bits of the Jimmy Kimmel monologue where he made his return on the Jimmy Kimmel Live show via ABC, unfortunately, and really delivered his overall opinion on exactly what happened. And obviously he really did actually take a lot of things out that he should have said there, and he really did try to spin a couple of aspects related to the whole situation of how he was booted off the air, taken off the air by ABC, taken off by Sinclair, Nexstar, etc., etc. Now look, just to be clear, I'm not a fan of Jimmy Kimmel, never was a fan of Jimmy Kimmel. In fact, even before he was on late night television, I really didn't find him all that funny. He may have had a couple of moments on The Man Show where it made you smirk here and there, for me at least, but that was about it. But focusing on Jimmy Kimmel here in isolation, we know that he's getting very defensive ever since a large portion of the United States, the general public, have been pushing forward, pushing back against ABC, and really just showing exactly their thoughts about the whole situation of bringing him back on the air after what he said on live television. Now, one thing about all of this is that technically, yes, it's not live. Let's be very clear about this. ABC, if they really wanted to, they could have just deleted the clip right before it even actually debuted on that Jimmy Kimmel episode, because all these late night shows, all of these types of programming, they're filmed around 3:30 to 4:30 p.m., whether it's on the West Coast, the East Coast, and then they later actually air it at around 10 to 11 p.m. Now, we know everything going on right now with Jimmy Kimmel, and he's actually trying to play the blame game, trying to play the victim card yet again, and let's get into that. Now, ever since Jimmy Kimmel got reinstated and was put back on the air via ABC after his Charlie Kirk related comments, one major development going on now involves more to do with Kimmel and what he had to deliver to the general public and to Trump supporters after he did his open monologue and received a wide range of reactions. Kimmel recently delivered the following. For those arguing that what happened to me wasn't an attack on freedom of speech, you really have to be coming from a politically biased place to even say such a thing, to even say that this wasn't an attack on freedom of speech. And more than likely, if you're someone saying that it wasn't, you're pretty much MAGA, am I right? As typical, coming from the MAGA crowd, they take everything they hear out of context, just like what I said on my program about the murderer of Charlie Kirk. That's why what they are now calling as my suspension was unfair, and more power to me, because I think what will shut up a lot of those very same MAGA people is my ratings have gone through the roof. So I thank you all. Our show's return really did some numbers, and as always, Trump and his supporters try to get rid of good things, and even if they do, it only comes back stronger. I hear there is word going around about by Trump fans and by those very close to Kirk that I didn't deliver a public apology about what I said on television. If you thought what I delivered on my program wasn't an apology, this is the same exact thing that MAGA is willing to double down on, because they have nothing. They just have nothing. They just have absolutely nothing to do. It's really a shame that we are now dealing with a president and supporters of his that want to shut people down and actually celebrate canceling people. This was cancel culture at its finest, whether you agree with that or not. If you don't, you are flat out wrong. This was a full-on attack on my freedom of speech and the many talented writers on the show and hard-working producers. Trump and his supporters are just very thin-skinned who can't take a joke or jokes about his presidency. And about my tears, here's another one. MAGA claims I was giving crocodile tears. Well, whatever makes you sleep better at night, I guess. Those were my real tears and my real emotions about the young man that was murdered sadly on September 10th. That young man never deserved what happened to him, and I felt the wave of sorrow when I was on that stage. Trump and his supporters will just try to nitpick anything that they can to take away my credibility. Now guys, let me just stop there for one moment about Jimmy Kimmel. The thing that really did pop out to me like a sore thumb here with Jimmy Kimmel is the fact that he didn't cry about Charlie Kirk or shed a tear when he was actually delivering that comment. You know, that infamous comment that he did 5-6 days ago, give or take, at this point, if you count today. That really had not a shred of emotions coming from Jimmy Kimmel at all. No tears, no choking up or anything like that, nothing like that at all. And then he comes back on the show and starts to show those emotions, in which I don't think it had anything to do with Charlie Kirk's, murder or his assassination. I think it had a lot to do with the fact that Jimmy Kimmel had a wave of emotions, as he puts it, quote unquote, and actually those emotions were just coming from the fact that he was just so relieved that he was back on his show. And while bringing up the whole Charlie Kirk subject, that actually got mixed up with those feelings. That's what I think. Now, again, he goes on to actually keep on pointing the finger at the quote-unquote MAGA crowd, trying to nitpick, trying to celebrate cancellations, or anything related to that. And you know what? At the end of the day, a lot of American citizens are just tired of people like Jimmy Kimmel, where a large portion of his guests, like 95% of them, obviously only come from one side of the political bias, right? One side. Now, he goes on to actually continue, and to all of them, shame on you. Just shame on you all, because you are doing the same thing right now as you were claiming others did in the past. Silencing people. Just look at yourselves. This is madness. It truly is madness, and it needs to just stop. And to all the MAGAs out there, I'm not going anywhere. And just for the tip, when you make an apology, you don't necessarily have to say the word sorry. What I said, and how I said it, it wasn't my intention, was sufficient and came from the heart. Again, shame on you all. So, again, there he goes, going on the subject about how he has heard a lot of people saying that what he delivered wasn't a technical apology. And let's be real, whatever he gave on live television there, or on television, I do apologize, but I keep saying live, it's not really live. But what he did say on television there really wasn't a full-fledged apology. What he really should have done was, say, I am sorry, I deeply do apologize. What I said on my program, quote-unquote, was something very insensitive and shouldn't have been said at the wrong time like that. And he just could have corrected himself a little bit there. He could have done something like that, and he didn't. He absolutely refused to actually say the word sorry. And look, you can call it what you want, but Jimmy Kimmel, as far as I see things, really just uses his show as a way to attack Trump supporters, MAGA, Republicans, etc., etc. That's how it is. That's how it always will be ever since 2016, and we all know it, and they know it. And regardless, this is exactly why I said days ago that Disney's gonna Disney. I actually did bring this up to you guys, that Jimmy Kimmel most likely would come back anyway, because that's just how Disney is. They're never gonna get rid of someone like Disney, or should I say Jimmy Kimmel on Disney. But overall, what's interesting here is the fact that, he's getting very defensive over the fact that people are literally pointing out some obvious things here, that his tears probably were very much crocodile tears, Maybe, of course, when you're looking at Jimmy Kimmel, people are going to see through exactly what's going on with this guy a lot more now. Because I'm hearing from a lot of Jimmy Kimmel fans that I know personally, and from those of you online who are also Jimmy Kimmel fans that are now beginning to turn against him after what they saw, and how he actually reacted when he made his return. And people have lost a lot of respect with him. Now, there's no doubt about it that the ratings for his opening monologue for that return episode, it did have a very, big number for ABC/Disney. However, let's just bring up the fact here that there was a lot of those on the other side of the political spectrum, those on the right, tuning in to see exactly what he was going to say. So you really have to factor that in as well. But overall, I would love to hear what everyone has to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.